Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the New York State International Film Festival Q&A with the filmmakers. Let's start with going around. We'll do some introductions. Let's start with Robert. Let's hear what's going on in your world, Robert.
Hi, my name is Robert Morgallo. I'm an actor, director, producer, and playwright. I am the director and screenwriter for and producer of The Dispensable short film I wrote it April 16th and shot it July 21st, and now it's part of the festival. I'm out of Pennsylvania, by the way.
In Pennsylvania.
Okay. Did anybody watch The Dispensable yet?
Dispensable, did you guys watch it yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, no. On the list.
Okay.
I got it ready.
I don't know, Robert, if you want to keep talking about your movie without maybe like spoiled or...
No, it's not going to spoil it. I mean, I didn't want to take up too much of anybody's time in the intro, but
okay.
I wrote the script April 16th. My mother-in-law had recently passed away from COVID-19. I saw the effects on my family. She was up in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm here in Pennsylvania. And when she was taken to the hospital, we couldn't, no one could see her. It was one of those moments where we just have to deal with it where we're at. And in the interim, I heard someone in the news say that it was perfectly acceptable to lose a few 100,000 lives in order to open up the economy. And that kind of struck a nerve, and it kind of like made me look at that. What is that dynamic between economic interest and the public health interest? So I sat down and I wrote the script, The Dispensable, and I literally wrote it that day, April 16th. And then July 21st, I shot it. It was a SAG short film. I cast it, shot it, and I literally went from script to screen in about 90 days. And then a week later, it was edited, and I submitted it to the festivals. But I think it gives a perspective of those dynamics, because whether you look at it in the macro, the governments have to determine whether they're going to open up the economy or concentrate on public health. Where's that balance? On the micro level, individual level, people do make those decisions all the time. Do I go to my work at a Starbucks, as an example, or at a grocery store to provide that essential service, or do I stay home? Well, I need to work and I need to provide for my family. And where is that balance at the individual level? So, all across the levels, we have those questions that we have to ask. And whether it's a right question or wrong, it's one of those things that where is that balance? Where's the equilibrium? And so I wrote it and I put it in there just to have a discussion, and it touches right on what's going on right now, the powers that be, and the life that we live in a post-COVID-19 world. So that's what it is.
And now here we are, right? Over 200,000, have passed away.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, Robert.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, anyway, it's a great movie. I highly recommend everybody to watch this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
All right, so Patricia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patricia Damon. I'm an actress. I am representing the film that is called Waimea through Joint Film Productions, directed by Steve Harold. He's actually on location in Alaska, and he is unable to participate because of streaming. But so I'm here to represent the film. It's a comedy short, about 10 minutes long. We filmed it in the spring, summer of 2019. And it's pretty much a married couple with the biggest challenge of their married life. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really great.
So what's the biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge of married life?
Pretty much, a lost object. I know that's part of the intro of the film, so I don't know if about being a spoiler, but basically, hilarity ensues over, the domestic issues between husband and wife. Losing something very important, and the big fight to find it and to.
So, do you play the wife?
I do.
That sounds like fun.
It was really fun. It was really fun to make, and Steve really has a great team. He's been doing it for about 25 years. Really great team of people. I really wish we could just be, together to celebrate it. So I'm just happy to represent the film.
Where did the name come from? Waimea?
Actually, Waimea Bay is, I guess, a surfer's haven in some part of Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
I Googled it. There was a documentary about a gentleman that was pretty well known in the surfing community. I think comedy, not Comedy Central, but one of the Funny or Die, I think they did a thing about this guy. I think his name was Sonny, I'm not sure. But basically, Waimea is where they would like to go on a fancy lottery ticket trip. So the Waimea
cool.
is
Okay.
the title. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you.
Helen, what project are you involved with?
I'm an actor. I'm in The Time in Between the Seconds, directed by Mark Klauberg, who I'm not sure if he's going to be here today at some point or not, but hopefully we'll see. Yeah, so I'm the lead actress on that film.
And what's it about?
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's about a young woman, me, well, not me, but Wendy, played by me, who goes through a very traumatic event, which we don't know what it is until the end of the film, and then we find out what it is, and it's kind of about her processing her grief and healing and just figuring out how to live in the world again and find some emotional normalcy again.
That's like an actress's dream role where you can just really teeth into it, right? Like,
yeah, it was a really beautiful, really beautifully written role, and I felt really lucky to get to do it.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Helen.
Sure.
Helen, where are you from? Are you from New York?
I am. I'm in Queens right now.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Patricia too. She's like, yes,
Me
we
too.
represent. All right, Danny, how about your project?
Well, first of all, Brooklyn in the house.
Oh, Brooklyn, yes.
Yeah, my project is The Telltale Heart, a Musicale, which is a musical adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's classic short story, The Telltale Heart. Most people probably have a basic idea of what that story is about, and it adapts. The film manages to use pretty much every word of the text almost perfectly the way it was written, with some repetitions and additions, but it is the text as he wrote it. And it was originally a stage play. I wrote it for myself to perform. I directed it, I also acted it, and I composed the music. When we did on stage, it was just me, a chair, and 3 cello players around me. In the film, we were able to create a visual experience that hopefully equals the literary and the musical experience. That was the attempt, at least, to make it work cinematically, even though as a first-person narrative, it is sort of unusual for cinema. Not a lot of films employ the first-person, fourth-wall-breaking approach, but that's what the story does. That's what Edgar Allan Poe does in his story. So there was no way, there was a way around it, because there's another adaptation of The Telltale Heart at the festival that does do it differently. But in our version, we do break the fourth wall, and we have flashbacks that are filmed in black and white, like an old-fashioned 1930s horror film of that era. And then the question is, which of the 2 versions that you're seeing is more believable or more real, or are any of them real? We start sort of screwing with perception and with the laws of nature in the course of the film. As what the film does that's not an Edgar Allan Poe is it gives a suggestion of where is this person as he's telling his story, and what condition is he in, what's happening to him. And it's yeah, I'm not going to spoil that. It's for the audience to discover.
It's a great story anyway to do a project on. But did you say it was a musical?
Yeah, I call it a musicale, which is a combination of musical and macabre. Stylistically, you could say that it falls in between what we expect from musical theater and what we consider maybe chamber opera. It's sort of in between those worlds. But yeah, it was originally done on stage, and I performed it on stage years ago, and they decided that this would be my first foray into film directing. I've been mostly a stage artist or stage director, stage writer, and now moving into film, and I am preparing the follow-up, The Pit and the Pendulum, a musical. So there will be a companion piece, and hopefully, COVID allowing, I'll be shooting that next spring.
That sounds really cool. It's like a new twist on it that, you know, you've never seen before. Like in that kind of Sweeney Todd-ish kind of manner, you know?
Very much, yeah. I mean, well, how many horror operas are there?
Exactly, yeah.
There are a couple really popular ones, Sweeney
Yep.
Todd, Little Shop of Horrors, and and so you could, I'm not saying I'm, you know, on par with that, but I'm just saying that there are not many, but there are a couple who are very well beloved. So yeah, it very much is a horror musical. And in the film festival circuit, even though we've received awards as a musical and for the sound and for the music, the horror festivals are the ones that have really embraced the piece almost more than anything. Right now is the last day that it's playing at the Rock Horror Film Festival in Rio de Janeiro online. So that's, you know, so I have to give a shout out to all the horror festivals who've been very kind to our film. And even though it is, you know, a musical and it's not traditional horror, but it's classic Edgar Allan Poe. So that got us in a lot there.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna watch it. That sounds really cool.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. All right, so let's see,
Behind
Joe.
me, that's the banner for it, actually.
Oh, is that the poster? It looks creepy.
Yeah,
Is that you?
That looks like Raul Julia. Is that Raul Julia? Is that Raul Julia?
Oh, I wish.
That's
but
you.
No, it's me. It's me.
I was looking at that. I thought it was Raul
With
Julia.
short hair.
Ah, I can see the resemblance. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. A festival asked me to, you know, whether I wanted to make a banner for it. So I did. That was back in February when we were still doing festivals in person. I brought this back from London with me, and now you know, it's in the room where I do these Zoom things. And I was like, well, why not take advantage of, you know, my faccia
Great
bruta
background.
and the, you know, looking weird and eerie.
I love it.
That's from the poster design for the show, for the film.
Very cool. Joe, you came in a little bit late, so we didn't even get to really hear from you much. So what's your project?
What's the deal? My project is called Have Wine, Will Travel. It's a science fiction comedy about a woman battling a hangover who encounters 3 time-traveling scientists whose gear is malfunctioning. So she has to struggle with, you know, the haze of alcohol and also these strangers from the past who are looking for a way out. We shot it, just a little backstory on me. I'm from Albany, New York, but I moved to LA in 2004 to go to grad school and kind of stayed on the West Coast for about 12 years, and now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
So I'm pretty much everywhere. But I wrote this film in 2016, and we shot it in October of 2017 and a little bit in 2018 just to do some pickups. And it just took a while for some posts to get together, and there's some special effects and visual effects that took a little longer than expected. And we finally finished it at the tail end of 2019. And then
I feel like as an independent filmmaker, sci-fi is the most difficult to do because of the expense of the special effects.
Yes and no. I mean, I spent probably way too much money on the film in general because I was that artist who wrote it and said, no, it's got to take place in the middle of nowhere, which we shot outside of LA near Big Bear Mountain. Instead
That's
of
what I was going to ask.
Before the fires, though, right? Before the fires.
Well, okay. So I had an option to shoot it, you know, on location, be desolate, but pay for the cast and crew hotels, or shoot it somewhere locally in LA and save some money. I chose to go outside of LA, and we found this beautiful location. This guy owned the property and said, "Go ahead and film here." And he's in the movie. He's got a small part in the movie. And he's great. All the actors are great. And we found this location, and then 2 months before filming was to take place, which I had already moved to Nashville. So I booked my flight back. I was going to fly back to shoot this movie. 2 months before filming, he sent us a picture of a fire ravaging his property. Because it's supposed to be this beautiful green vineyard kind of environment. And he showed us this fire and just this devastation that happened. And my producer, who's one of the actresses in the film, said, "What do you want to do?" And she's like, "It's your money." So I said, let's get a view of the property. He sent more pictures, and I said, we can work with this. And I actually retailored some of the script to fit the story, and so they appear in this kind of burnt out, desolate location. The time travelers thinking we did something wrong here, and it really kind of fit the piece and the characters even better. So the expense, I think, was worth it, and the location. I mean, the fire is devastating. Luckily, his house, the guy's house and property, like, he's fine. But it actually fit the piece and changed it from what it was going to be. So it worked out for the story, I guess.
That's cool.
Silver
Yo,
lining.
where did you
Warrior.
find those costumes?
What do you say?
Says he's coming back. Here you go.
I was asking, where did you find those costumes?
For the travelers, they
Yes.
we made them. We found these jumpsuits, and our costume designer Alina was amazing, and she spray painted them silver and did a lot of the spray paint. And then the backpacks, we had a prop guy, build and design and construct those, and the wristbands. Everything that the lead character Betty wears is her own. Dawn Brody she's an eclectic person and has this awesome array of stuff to bring to a part. But the costumes for the travelers, we had a designer make all those.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, and we could have done it, by the way, without the visual effects that were very expensive. But I really wanted to try to feature some kind of visual to kind of make this rise above something that we could cheat it, or I have some visual effects friends in the business, so they were able to kind of really put their art to work, and that was fun to do.
Oh, that helped, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Let's see and Bill. Hi, Bill.
Okay, here we are. Hi, everyone.
I like your Obama t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, yes. I wear him. I live near the projects. It keeps me safe. That's politically incorrect, I know. But it's true. Yeah, so I'm Bill. Well, first, a few footnotes. My Sicilian grandfather, Danny, used to grab me by the face like this out in the garden and say, "Facce brutta." Okay, just so you know, when I heard you say that, I thought, okay, we're going back to childhood now. But then, and also to Nico, or I'm sorry, Joe, and this is going to segue nicely into what I was about to say, is that on my film, we spent absolutely zero money except for blood, sweat, and tears. And that segues into, I feel humbled by being among all of you, because I haven't looked at them all, but I just glanced, and it's not the first festival, and I keep going, okay, next time I'm going to make a real film. By trade, I'm a commercial director, and I've always been a hired gun. And sometimes I don't direct, sometimes I shoot, and sometimes I do graphic animation because I have a background in design. I do a lot of different things, special effects and so forth, long before it became trendy. By the way, I'm also in my second day of quarantine, non-bathing and grooming, okay? So it's good that I'm a little dark, because, you don't really want to see the real Bill right now. But
Are you sick?
No, not at all. Well, up here maybe, but on that, who knows? So anyway, here's the deal. I got divorced about 10 years ago, and I wanted to surf and chase blondes and drink beer, and so I moved back to my college town, San Diego, California. And by the way, Waimea Bay, that's the home of 20-foot waves. It's far bigger than I'd ever want to encounter. So, I went back there, and I couldn't get any work except for shooting weddings. I don't do weddings. I can't do weddings. And so, I've done national spots and show opens, and that's, no, I'm not going to shoot somebody's wedding. So I go back there, and I can't get any work, and I started driving for Lyft and Uber. And it was a humbling experience. And being from New York, and I'm here in Brooklyn, in Clinton Hill, okay, you know, I'll cop to it. I have a little bit of an attitude. And when, you know, when these drunken self-entitled college kids got in the back of my car and I say, where are we going? And they'd start cracking up saying, we don't know. I just wanted to shoot myself. So I did this for like a year and a half. And then when I finally got enough money to get back to New York, I kind of stopped and I saw some buddies in Vegas who I have a relationship with, their production company. And I said, we're going to make a movie. And I had never done a short narrative without a client. And so that's what we did. And it's called The Road, A Driver's Diary. And it's all based on my experiences as a Lyft and Uber driver, which I can assure you, I always tip them large because I know what kind of hell they're going through on a regular basis, particularly on Friday and Saturday nights. So, you know, so then when the executive producer who gave me all the equipment and the crew and everything else said, you know, who's going to play the part? I have no desire to be an actor, zero. But I was cheap and available. And so I played myself. I was the lead character. And,
you did great.
Did you see it? Not yet.
I watch it.
Okay. Well, so, you know, the upshot was, you know, all my professional colleagues said, yeah, the film's okay. You know, you should be an actor. And I'm thinking, yeah, I should just shoot myself in the fucking head. You know, I'm being real here, but, and I love actors, but I not, anyway, so, yeah, so I did this thing. And the first time I saw myself because I cut it also, I produced, directed, shot, a few pickup shots, cut, and did most of the graphics. And when I first saw myself in the rushes, I just thought, what was I thinking? You know, it was like, you know, my vanity just struck right through to my heart. I looked at my sagging neckline and my wrinkles and everything, and I just thought, oh, Jesus, what a fucking mess. So I did this anyway, and yeah, you know, it's not like your typical short film. I mean, I've seen a lot of short films since I did this, and I'm thinking, okay, it's an oddball film, and I definitely, then if I get out there again, I'm going to do something that's much more in line with traditional stuff. This was just, I was so pent up with anger having done this thing, this driving routine, that I had to pull my snark back quite a bit because I was pretty angry about the whole thing. And some people I know still said, yeah, you know, you could have pulled that back a little more. So who knows? Have a look. I don't think it's boring. So, you know, but I cannot wait to watch all of your films because I've learned a lot about this process, which has nothing to do with commercials. And I really, the bug has bitten me. So I'm interested. I don't know about the acting thing so much. Yeah, that's so, but you know, the rest looks appealing. So that's all I have to say. It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I do have to tell you though, like, you know, the wrinkles and the character in your face, it makes you good to cast as an actor.
Yeah, rustic.
A lot of times the casting they look for that.
You know, I'm available.
You just gave me a lot of inspiration for a character. So I mean, I'm taking notes. I got you. Don't worry about it.
But you know, the funny thing is, I've actually, you know, and again, I'm not like, I just actually did 4 commercials for, go figure, a disinfectant company. It was the first time any of us had shot. I did it in Bushwick maybe a month ago. And I had a COVID coordinator on set. I had all these people, right? And we were all wearing masks except for the talent. But, geez, I already forgot. Oh, and one of the girls we cast said, you know, you should be an actor, I'm telling you. And I you know, having sat through so many auditions and watched hundreds of people come through and just, you know, I feel terrible for them because usually I have agency people sitting behind me going, oh, they're terrible, just get rid of them. And you know, and they're heartless, and I'm not. You know, I feel for people, and so it's painful, and I just thought, well, you know, look, if somebody asks me to do something, I'll do it, but I'm not going to jump through the hoops of all the pain that you regular actors go through. I don't know how you do it. My hat's off to you, but you know, not my bag. And you know, consider this: for every one piece of film, whatever it may be, there's usually, let's say, anywhere between 2 and I don't know how many actors. There's only one director. So the competition for what I do is stupid. All right. So, you know, but I've chosen my poison, and I drink it regularly every day. So there you have it.
So I want to know, how many here, is this their first film that they've made?
It's my first narrative.
Okay, good. How many, Joe, have you made?
How many, Joe? I have written and directed 3 shorts, and I've produced a feature.
What was your feature about?
It was called Cruel Hearts. The director, Paul Osborne, has made a couple of films as well, and it's about this guy finds out the woman he's been sleeping with is married to a mob boss, and so he decides to just tell the guy right away, and that's the opening scene of the movie. So there's an outfall, there's a downfall from that.
Yeah, I did I did the casting, the extras casting for Mobtown, which is, I think, in distribution right now. It's on HBO and all those, Amazon and everything. But casting mobsters was like the most fun I've ever had. Everybody wanted to be a mobster. Like every Italian guy from New Jersey and Westchester were emailing me, sending me pictures of them making pie with their mother. Like it was crazy. It was like, it was the best. I had the best time. But I always like those mob films. They're a fun film to make. All right, so let's see. What do you think, Nico?
I don't know if anybody has any questions about the festival or the movies, or do you guys want to say something else about your movie, your next project?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would like to very much. Although this is my first, the Dispensable is my first film that I wrote, directed, and produced. It was a learning experience. I have several projects that I'm working on right now that are original works written by myself. One of them written by myself and a co-writer, friend, actor of mine, Oz Gomez. And the one that we're doing right now in October that we're shooting here, the feature film, is called The Making the Trick. It's about an Irish, and set in the 1990s, mid-1990s in New York, but we're shooting it here in Reading, PA. It's about an Irish hitman played by Peter Green from Pulp Fiction and The Mask. We got him cast.
He's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful, wonderful. So it's an Irish hitman who works for a Cuban mobster, and the IRA. But he wants out. He gets a conviction of conscience. He wants out, but neither the Cuban mobster or the IRA can let that happen because he knows too much. So they put a hit on him. But with the help, it's an action comedy. But with the help of a very animated street hooker named Sugar, his odds of getting out just got better, and it's hilarious. We have Peter Green cast in it. We have Goya award-winning actor Jazz Villa playing Sugar. It's a drag hooker, by the way. We've got Federico Castelluccio from The Soprano casting it. We have Richard Klein from Larry Dallas from Three's Company. He's casting it.
Wow.
It's a great. It's just an eclectic. We got a few other great actors on it, and I'm excited to do that. But in the interim, while I was shooting or getting ready to shoot The Dispensable, I heard another news, COVID-related news, and Bill, you may be able to connect with it because you were in San Diego, you said. In San Diego, in about June time, there was a Starbucks barista who he became virally famous because he was working at Starbucks. Some lady walks in without a mask. He couldn't serve her. He was very polite with her.
I read about it, yeah.
She takes a picture of the kid, I say kid, he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
Takes a picture of the kid, it goes viral. She tries to shame him. Hey, this guy's just Lennon. He wouldn't serve me. Let's make him famous, blah, blah, blah. And it backfired. The kid got so much love and support from all over some random guy by the name of Matt sets up an GoFundMe for the kid in hopes of getting a couple $100 in tips. The kid ends up getting $105,000. It's crazy. So I reached out to the kid. And I say kid, he's such a nice guy, because I felt moved, just like everybody else, to do something. I didn't know, maybe I put him as a dancer. He wants to be a dancer. I thought maybe I could put him as a dancer in my film coming up in October. But when I started talking to him and interviewing him, I realized that the story is a lot deeper than just that incident. And there's just so much more depth and to it. So I asked him if he'd let me, and we signed the deal. And I'm doing his short. We're going to shoot that one in November, and that one's going to be called Karma Latte, the Lennon Gutierrez story. And it basically just details everything that's going. It's such a great story, and it goes a lot deeper than what you said. And then in the spring, I'm shooting another short that I did it as a play. We played it off Broadway at the Hudson Guild Theater this last January, and it had really good results, called Three's Company 2, based on my meeting Joyce DeWitt from Three's Company. So it's a pretty interesting tale, and I'm shooting that one next fall. So I got my hands full for the next few months.
That's great, Robert.
Yeah.
Way to stay active, man.
Yeah, keep it going, especially in this time when everything just kind of died, you know?
I'm telling you, and I'm going to invite some of you to come down here to Reading to take a look at some of the stuff we got going on over here. But yeah, it's you know, you make lemonade, you know, you get lemons. Some people make lemonades. I make margaritas. You know, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Did you so you know Joyce DeWitt?
I met her once. This is how this came about. Not this last May, the previous May. I was at the Hoboken International Film Festival. One of the films that
I was there with Joyce when Joyce DeWitt was there.
Yeah, well, yes, and Daniela was there that night too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was there. The short film that I was in, The Guilty Prince of Chinatown, was screening that week, and I was there at the for that, and I was there at the gala. And at the gala, Joyce DeWitt walks in, and I was like starstruck, right? And I'm like, hey, can I take a picture? She was so nice, so accessible, so genuine, right? So I asked her if I could take a picture with her, and she said, yeah. I told my actor buddy, hey, come on, let's take a picture. So it's him, her, and me. She's in the middle. And we take a quick picture. And in that moment, I just joked with her, and I joke a lot, all right? I said, hey, we should do Three's Company 2, right? And I'm thinking, you know, she laughed, I laughed. We had a great laugh about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it the rest of the night. I'm thinking, that's not a bad idea, right? So the next morning I get home and I drive back, I got home, and that weekend I wrote a stage play that picks up on the life of Janet Wood from Three's Company and introduces two different characters. Ricardo Esteban Montenegro, which is played by me. He's half, you know, over the hill, used to be one of the biggest telenovela stars in Latin America, can't get arrested nowadays. And this guy named, you know, Tony Moretti, a New York blue collar kind of Bronx kind of guy that, you know, he's recently divorced. He's angry and bitter that his wife got the better half. He's working 3 different jobs, including Uber, just to make ends meet, to pay half of that money to his, you know, he's kind of, you know, they're all, but they all, for whatever their circumstances are, ends up renting an apartment in New York from a scammer who does not own the apartment. The real landlord finds that they're in the apartment. He wants them, a big court battle. Really funny thing. So I wrote it that weekend, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of funny, right? So I submitted it to the New York Winterfest Theater Festival, and a week later I got, hey, it got picked up. We're going to stage it off Broadway at the Hudson Guild Theater. So we staged it, and we had 3 shows. 2 of them sold out. The third show was like almost like 15 seats shy of selling out. Richard Klein, who played Larry, he came to opening night. We became friends. He became a mentor to me. What a great, I can tell you, what a genuinely great, wonderful guy. As a matter of fact, he's in my film now, you know. And I wrote him in just because he's such a great guy and such a great actor, and coach and mentor, by the way. So that's how I met Joyce. I've never seen her again since then. And when I'm doing the film version of that stage play, I'm making it completely different from the original play. I'm making just 3 random, you know, they're in their later stages of life, you know, pre-retirement, that, that kind of stuff. And they just, happen to get scammed, and they're living in this apartment. So it's kind of like an older version of like a Friends or Three's Company, something like that.
Cool.
But just, it's something that it's pretty funny.
But she's going to be in the film, Joyce?
Well, no, that's the whole thing. Here's the thing with that. When I first did it, I did it as a play. I had the free range to do it because as a stage play, I was able to do it. If I start doing that as a because the story revolves around, the one I wrote for the play revolves around Janet Wood. What happened to her life now? She's a widow. She finds out her husband was heavy in debt, so she ends up renting this apartment. So my options moving forward with the film is either I reached out to the people in England who have the right to the to Three's Company series and see if I could do it as a pickup with her, or just do it as a independent and has nothing to do with the original, just 3 random characters to do it. And I'm not 100% decided whether or not I'm going to go one route or the other. If I can go the route with Janet Wood and with Joyce DeWitt, I would love to. I would love to see that possibility. But if it's going to be one of those things where, the powers that be they don't see the big or the opportunity, then I'm just going to have to go a different route and do it a different route. So I'm still open to it, but I'm not 100% committed to anything like that,
Okay, well, so continuing my driving motif, I went to San Diego State of no great consequence. I got a degree in film, moved to Hollywood like all good San Diegans did, and I was driving a limousine because I like to drive apparently, that was my day job, and I drove somebody, I can't remember who, it was some celebrity because I drove quite a few of them, and I drove somebody to a rap party on a lot which was then called Las Palmas lot or Las Palmas Studios, I don't know. It was in LA. It was on Las Palmas, go figure. And so I was told, come in, don't drink, be quiet. And I said, okay. I was probably 22 years old. And I walk in, and Joyce DeWitt, our girlfriend, is sitting there by herself. And I sat down next to her. And, it was a long time ago. So I kind of thought she liked me, but who knows? In any case, we had a very pleasant conversation. She wasn't in a rush to go anywhere. And she was very sweet. That's, we should start a fan club, the Joyce DeWitt fan club.
I can tell you there's a few of them. There's a bunch of them out there. She's loved. She's followed.
She's very sweet.
Yeah. They all, and they do a lot of those what they call Comic Cons, where they go and they
Yep.
go to those things together, and they do.
Yeah, she's very busy, but she's super nice. I bet, Robert, if you reached out to her, she may consider.
Mention my name also.
Here's the thing. I don't have any contact with her. If I've tried to reach out to the contact. If you want, I'll send you the script so you can take a look at it. But that would be the ideal situation, because there's so many Three's Company fans out there that we would just love to see, and there's opportunities for because I the way I envision it, and I was going to shoot it as a pilot, but I said, why am I going to spend that much money as a pilot? I might as well just shoot this as a feature, and then if I can adapt it to a series, I can, and I think there's an opportunity there to develop that as a feature. So ideally, it would be, do it with Joyce as the lead, and do it as what's happened to Janet Wood's life now. Introduce these new characters. It's very lively. It's very entertaining, and it has room to develop where you could bring in cameos by Larry Dallas can come. Christy can come visit. All these different elements from the people who were in the show that can still come and interact. And I would love to talk to, I even reached out and I sent an email back when I wrote it as a play to the company who has, they had the rights, because originally that Three's Company was in England as called Man About the House. That was the TV show. So I reached out to them. I said, they never responded, but I went ahead and I did with my play. The play went well and there was no issues. But going forward with an endeavor like this, again, my choices would be, hey, let's, and my plan is to reach out to them again, because once I finish this film with Peter Green, the Making the Trip, once I'm done with this one and I wrap on this one, I'm going to focus on that one and reach out to them and see what we can work out, because I agree, if we can do it with Joyce DeWitt, the audience is there, we all want to know what's up with her life, right? And bring her back and see her on, oh, that would be awesome. And so if you can make that introduction, I would love to talk to her, you know?
Well, I still speak with Kenny Del Vecchio, who was the Hoboken.
I reached out to Kenny. I said, and you know, this is even from back then. I haven't had any so I figure, you know, I'm not going to beat down that door if it's not there, you know.
I think I have her contact, or not her personal contact information, but her, because I contacted her once before about a film festival, but she was busy. So
what I'll do, I'll send you the script, and you know,
see if we can get it to her. Yeah.
If you can make a contact, I would love to talk to her about it, you know.
Okay.
You might just consider digging up Mr. Roper and doing an animatronics thing with him. It's just an idea. It's a random idea. Anyway.
Danny, if you mind asking me, if I ask you a question, the other project that you're going to be working on it's called which one? The Pit and the what?
The Pendulum.
The Pit and the Pendulum, right? And how far along are you with that one?
So we're in pre-production. We've recorded the instruments, and we're going to be recording the vocals. For this project, you pretty much have to record most of the vocals ahead of time.
So, Danny, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but do you write the music as well?
Yes, I'm the composer as well.
That's so talented.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm also involved with some other pre-production. There's some special mask work that we need for what we're doing. So I'm already collaborating with an artist who's sort of a specialist in creating crazy masks. And there's some ideas I have about putting mirrors over the face and how to do that. So we're working on that. And I was not sure how soon we'd be able to shoot. You know, my original plan would have been normally to shoot in February, March, and my feeling was that COVID-19 would make it too difficult, at least on our budget, to do that. But now that I've heard you guys talk, I'm like, well, I should at least look into it more closely and see what our options are. Because ideally, that's when I would like to shoot. That's when I expect to have all the sound completed and have enough of the pre-production work done so that we're ready. I don't want to rush into this. This is the kind of film where you really need to have all your shots lined up, have your, really make sure that everything that you want to do is ready for when you go into the studio. You need a particular set that has very unique characteristics that we want to make sure are going to work when we shoot them, that we're not, you know, we can't improvise on the set. This is one of those things where we need to have a complete shot list and a plan. So I hope to work with my same cinematographer again. We've already started conversations on how to do some of the special shots I have in mind. But yeah, COVID helped run this. I mean, I really had the idea for it last fall while I was finishing Telltale Heart, but I didn't really get serious in writing the script and writing the score down until, well, shutdown happened in March. And I'm like, what do we do now? Well, let's work on this and not worry about when we'll be able to shoot, but let's just work on it. So I finished the score and script in early summer and started calling people and saying, I don't know when we're going to be able to shoot, but this is it. Take a look. Maybe we can get the gang back together again, so to speak.
Awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
And what's interesting in contrast between this and the first film is the first film, you know, existed as a stage play and was adapted off that. This film is being filmed and is being composed knowing it's going to be a film, which allows me to do things both musically and narratively that you can't do on stage. I can play opposite myself. I can double, triple, quadruple my own voice and have it come out of different corners of the sound system. Those are all things that you can't do on stage unless you have 4 or 5 actors playing the same character. So this allows me to sort of create soundscapes, musicalscapes, and visual setups that hopefully will be really original and unusual and give you a whole different perspective on that story, The Pit and the Pendulum, which does not read like Telltale Heart does. Telltale Heart really reads like someone's talking to you. Pit and the Pendulum is very internal. He even says he's writing it down, and that's a very different kind of literature. So it doesn't lend itself to the same approach. And I had to figure out, how do I approach this story? I can't do it the same way I did Telltale Heart. And making it a film actually allows me to approach it in a psychological, cerebral way that you can't do on stage. So I'm looking forward to making a film that has a lot of similarities of Telltale because of the author and the same actor and the same composer, and also using 3 cellos and also using them as part of the cinematic storytelling device.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Those things
I'm
both
hooked.
films have in common. You know, the cellos are part of the storytelling in both films, but in different ways. But then doing other things that are completely different, and will hopefully then, you know, upend expectations that you may or may not have having seen the first film. So we'll see. That's the plan.
Do you have, are you doing like a series of all the Poe stories? Are you planning on doing more?
You know what? If people want me to, and they'll fund me, and they'll say, "Here, let's create a series of 6 people can binge watch on Netflix," you bet I'll do it. You know what I mean? You know, like I'm, you know, there are more Poe stories that I would adapt that way. Right now, these first 2 are. I mean, I've been thinking about doing The Pit and the Pendulum ever since I wrote the first one. I haven't thought that much beyond, although sometimes I wonder, you know, what else could you do? So yeah, it's a possibility, but yeah, it would be nice if you know, I wasn't doing it all on my own and somebody else actually said, yeah, we like this. Let's do the next step together.
Yeah.
Not, you know, howl in the wind on your own, Mr. You know, independent producer.
Yeah. That's often the plight, right, of the independent film director.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, like I said, the Telltale Art was my first, and this was, you know, I don't know if I would have jumped in as quickly as I did if COVID hadn't happened. So it really is sort of a COVID baby in that sense, even though the main idea for how to adapt the piece came to me last fall, but it came at a moment when we were stuck finishing Telltale Heart. We were having some post-production issues, a computer crash, a hard drive that suddenly got inaccessible. I mean, like dramatic stuff that was like frustrating the heck out of us. A film that we thought we were going to finish in June took us till October because of it. So I was feeling impotent and like I wasn't getting anywhere. And that was a very good state of mind to be in, to figure out how to adapt Pit the Pendulum. If, you know, like if you feel like you're stuck and there's Damocles sword over your head, well, there it is, you know. So I got an idea of how to make that story work for me, that hopefully will be of interest, you know, when people see it. Because it's not just a man in torture situations, which is what the story is. It's like a series of death traps. It's almost like Edgar Allan Poe wrote the first Saw movie. But I don't like the Saw movies. I don't watch torture porn. It's not something I like. So I was like, well, why am I doing this? And then I figured out that there's a psychological component possibly to this, that this is a metaphor for a man's depression, that this might be a metaphor for what's a self-destructive impulse in his own head. And once that idea got to me and I figured out how I can create a framing device between 2 realities, just like in Telltale Heart, in the Pit and the Pendulum, then I was like, I understand. I know how I can approach this piece with the music that I want to use and with the musical ideas I want to use and visual ideas and as an actor. And now I have it in. So I sort of unlocked my way into the piece last fall, but then I got busy doing the festivals for Telltale, and then COVID happened and I realized I wasn't going anywhere anymore. So like, well, okay, let's get the next one going rather than just sitting here and going, when is the world going to open up again?
You know, if I may, purely from a logistical perspective, as I mentioned, it was only a one-day shoot in a soundstage, but about a month ago. But and as a producer, I made sure that everybody was cool. You know, I hired a COVID coordinator. The state laws now are even yet more stringent about, you know, getting screened 2 or 3 days before the shoot. But beyond that, you know, I had a crew of about 12 people. You know, I had one grip, one gaffer, lighting director, teleprompter, makeup, hair and makeup, costuming. You know, I made sure everybody had their own individual, everybody got a kit when they walked in the door. They also got their temperature checked.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very methodical. And, you know, I looked around, some of these guys I hadn't even seen in like 10 years, some of the people that I hired, and they were all so happy to be working, and I felt good about it. You know, I was happy that I could do at least that small thing for them. But it's, you know, it's doable. I mean, the only people that didn't wear a mask was when the actors were doing their lines, and then that was it. And then as soon as they were done, back on with the masks, and everybody was cool, had a nice day. You know, craft services was more, you know, it was like a massive takeout. It wasn't like a table with all this food laying on it. You know, everybody ordered what they wanted from the local deli, and then, you know, so everything was individualized. But I came away from it thinking, you know, this is doable. We can do this. We don't have to be waiting until there's a vaccine or a new president or any of the above. You know, we can do this.
Right, and well, right now, this conversations make me think a little differently from what I was sort of thinking. Like, well, there's no way New York State is even allowed any kind of shooting unless.
Oh no, they're allowing it. They're allowing it, but you just have NewYorkState.gov, filmmaking, whatever. You'll see they have very strict. For the most part, what we did before they even initiated these regulations, we were already doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And Danny, if you don't mind, I put my email there for everybody who wants to contact me. But Danny, if you can you know shoot an email to me, and maybe we could talk offline when you have some time. I'd like to talk to you about your project. I think it's very
Cool.
very fascinating project, and I'd like to know more. You know,
I put my email and contact, and also my website in the chat as well. But yeah, I'll send you an email specifically, Robert. Thank you.
no problem. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wind down for today, but if you want to jump on, we're doing another Q&A. Forget now. Nico, do you remember when it's scheduled, when their next Q&A?
October 1st and October 8th at 7 p.m.
Yeah, Thursday.
All right, guys, it was really nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been great.
And I'm going to
Forward
check
to watching.
those
Thanks, everybody.
projects
Very
too.
nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. Yeah.
We hope to see you all again on October 1st and October 8th too. So hopefully other filmmakers will join us so we can like discuss again. People are gonna watch like more movies from the festival. I really appreciate it for everybody's time again. Then have a good day.
All right.
Thanks all.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.